Welcome to Bedtime Horror, your portal to scary stories. It was an ordinary evening, and I found myself alone at home, just enjoying the peace and quiet while my family was out for the night. Little did I know that this calm night would soon take a chilling turn, filled with suspense and unexpected twists. As I went about my usual routine, perhaps watching a bit of television and snacking on some popcorn, a peculiar feeling nudged at me. It was then that I happened to glance out the window and, to my surprise, noticed a mysterious figure sneaking into our backyard. This stranger seemed out of place, moving with a purpose that sent shivers down my spine. Something just didn't feel right. Trusting my instincts, I decided to investigate further. As I kept a close eye on the unfolding events, another person suddenly appeared, making their way towards our porch. I did hear footsteps and then, knocking on the door. The second stranger claimed to be searching for a friend, and their words carried an unsettling undertone that heightened my unease. A knot formed in my stomach, and I couldn't shake off the strange feeling that something bad might happen. Feeling the tension rise, I made a cautious decision not to open the door. It turned out to be a crucial choice. The second person grew more insistent, knocking louder and demanding to be let in. Panic gripped me, but I stayed strong, quickly securing the door and reaching for my phone. With trembling hands, I dialed the emergency number and explained the scary situation to the dispatcher. They listened carefully and assured me that help was on the way. As I anxiously waited by the door, the aggressive person continued their attempts to get inside, intensifying my fear. The minutes felt like hours until the distant wail of sirens cut through the night. Suddenly, the flashing lights of police cars illuminated the darkness. The intruders, realizing they were caught, scrambled to escape. The adrenaline coursed through me as I heard the urgent footsteps of the approaching police officers. The aggressors, now in a panic, fled into the night, their figures disappearing into the shadows. The arrival of the police offered a mix of relief and lingering tension. The officers, understanding the gravity of the situation, began to investigate. It was then that they shared troubling news. Our home had become a target in a recent spree of break-ins in the neighborhood. As they assured me of increased patrols and further inquiries, I couldn't help but feel the weight of the situation sinking in. In the aftermath of that harrowing night, the corners of my once familiar home seemed more vulnerable than ever. The unsettling experience marked the beginning of a journey filled with fear, leaving behind the echoes of footsteps that had briefly shattered the peace of my suburban sanctuary. Little did I know, this was just the start of a tale that would unfold with more twists and turns. It was a Monday and I was home alone, and the quiet solitude should have been comforting. My husband was away on a business trip, and I took advantage of the empty house to catch up on some relaxation and cleaning. The day went by normally, and the mundane tasks felt strangely satisfying. As I went about my routine, something caught my eye through the living room window. A fleeting glimpse of movement in the garden made me pause. I shook it off, assuming it was a trick of the light or a figment of my imagination. But a nagging feeling lingered, and I couldn't shake the sense that someone might be watching. I approached the window cautiously, squinting to see beyond the reflection. Nothing. The garden stood still, devoid of any intruders. I sighed, attributing the unease to the overactive imagination that often accompanies solitude. I double-checked the doors and windows, confirming they were all securely locked. It was just my nerves playing tricks on me. As evening settled, I busied myself with dinner preparations. The house creaked occasionally, the settling sounds amplified in the quietude. Then, an unfamiliar noise pierced the silence, a soft shuffle, like someone walking on gravel. I froze, straining to listen. The footsteps seemed to circle the house, yet when I peeked through the windows, there was no one in sight. Dismissively, I tried to focus on my meal, convincing myself it was some neighborhood animal or the wind playing tricks. But the sounds persisted, growing more insistent. It wasn't just in my head, someone was out there. The next disturbance was more jarring. Banging echoed through the house, as if someone was forcefully knocking on the door. My heart raced, and I sprinted to the front entry, expecting to find an impatient visitor. But the doorstep was empty, and the only sound was the eerie echo of my own breath. Unease settled in, and I hesitated before daring to open the door. The emptiness greeted me, mocking my heightened anxiety. Convinced I was on the verge of a breakdown, I grabbed my phone, dialing my husband for reassurance. No answer. Panic set in. I decided to call the police, reluctant but unable to shake the fear that gripped me. As I explained the bizarre events to the dispatcher, they assured me they'd send someone to investigate. The wait felt eternal. The minutes crawled by as I waited for the police to arrive. Every creak of the house and rustle of the wind outside intensified my apprehension. When the patrol car finally pulled up, relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. 2 officers approached, listening attentively as I recounted the inexplicable occurrences. They assured me they would check the premises thoroughly. As they ventured into the backyard, I hovered anxiously in the doorway. Their voices became distant murmurs as they searched, and my imagination conjured scenarios of what they might find. My anxiety peaked when one of the officers called me outside. In the cold night air, he pointed to a figure slouched against a tree, a disheveled, intoxicated man. It turned out that the source of my distress was a stranger who had wandered into my backyard, probably drawn by the allure of the quiet, empty house. His drunken stupor explained the erratic sounds and banging. The officers, unfazed, assured me they would handle the situation. Gratitude mixed with residual fear as they escorted the intruder away. They recommended keeping doors and windows secured, offering a sense of security that eluded me in the aftermath. I locked up the house, the once familiar space now tainted by an unsettling episode. The night, though quieter, felt heavy with the residue of fear. Sleep proved elusive as my mind replayed the events. The next day, my husband returned, and I clung to the normalcy his presence provided. The incident left an indelible mark on my sense of security. Even after the stranger's departure, the echoes of that night lingered, a reminder that the sanctity of home could be disrupted in the most unexpected ways. It took time for the unease to dissipate, and the sounds of the house settling into the night regained their mundane quality. The blinds stayed drawn a little tighter, and I became more attuned to the rhythms of my surroundings. The experience, while unnerving, became a chapter in the ongoing narrative of life, a story I shared cautiously with friends and neighbors, transforming a seemingly ordinary night into a tale of unexpected disturbances. Thanks for watching, and I hope the story was to your liking.